Well, here we are. It is September 12th. It is 37 degrees outside. We are doing lawn care in the mist. Now, from this vantage point where I have the camera, you can see kind of how the lawn is sort of faded out over here behind me. That's that hill, obviously, you know, that I struggle with. You can also see where that track from the machine is pretty much all filled in. That humic top dress worked really, really well, and the grass grew pretty quickly. Now, I have not cut the grass in probably 8 days, so it's actually getting pretty long. Most of it's around 3 inches right now. And I'm gonna wait a little bit. Now, here's what I did this morning. So the last time this lawn had any nitrogen was around August 1st. You have to go back in the videos and look. And I put down a nominal rate of 1801, 15 ounces. So it's about a quarter pound of N. And that brought my annual N up to, I think, like 0.8 or 0.9 pounds total for the season per thousand. And, you know, I talked about it didn't feel like it needed it then. So since that time, with the trip I took, the time away, the stresses from the drought, and then all of a sudden it went cold, we've been getting temperatures and some frosts in the morning, and so that really shocked the color out. Since we've entered into this time frame of fall, we're in the second phase of growth for the Kentucky bluegrass. This is a time when it is actually drawing a ton of nutrients up. It's needing that nitrogen to go. So today, I took actually a spray mix out of some stuff that I delivered to some customers yesterday, which is a combination of RGS and In Charge, and ran a full rate of that out. So that actually was a little, I ended up putting out 15 to 20, so a little over a third pound of N is what I just put down today. So it's been raining, it's been cold, it's been snowing at high elevations already. We went from 90 to snow in less than a week, typical. And I need to go ahead and juice this up. So today, we've got this mist. It's going to be a blue sky. It actually is a blue sky, just slightly above. You just can't see it right now. And all of this in that I just put out, and that dose of humic that I just threw out on top of it, that's going to get a chance to be saturating this morning under this cloud cover. And then as the sun comes out, it's going to push in tighter into the leaf tissue and then drive down into the soil as it starts to dry out and really give this thing a flush up. So I wanted to make sure that I got that done this morning before I move down to the next project. Okay, it's time to start the next project. So I am down here at this property that I'm going to show you that is going to require some serious help. And I'm going to take you through the process of what's about to happen here. First off, we're going to walk the whole thing, take a look at the weeds, and we're going to go ahead and call this the Weedzilla project. And I already know what I'm going to be spraying on it to control everything. We're going to talk about some of the stuff that's going to stay behind, what sort of leveling is going to need to be done, and how I'm going to go about all of that. But today is basically just going to be focused on spraying out and killing the weeds. And then in the next about 4 or 5 days, I'm going to come down here with some topsoil and cover and level areas, just kind of get it a little more even. And then we'll be talking about the seed that's going to be used. So let's go take a look at that and see what it's going to do. Okay? Good times. This will be fun. So one thing that I'm going to want to do here, make sure that you do this every time before you start mixing chemical or anything else. Measure off the lawn, know what you've got. So I walked and paced the back. It's pretty much 1,500 square feet right there. This front section is really only about 750. So I paced off both of them to get that rough estimate. 2,250 square feet is about all we're dealing with here. So not a lot. That's really only going to be a few ounces of the material I'm going to be using to spray this down. So we got to go talk about that now. All right, so you know from, if you've been watching this for a while on my channel, you know that I don't have any weed problems on my own lawn. I don't really use any weed control for that. I still have this T-zone that I bought to go spray out the everything kind of around the lawn, and some of those. I had a Canada thistle in there that I needed to kill. That was kind of the main thing, and then there were just a couple other little things I took out just around the edges. So I still have this T-zone. This is pretty much going to cover everything that's in this lawn that I need to cover off. It's going to pick up really everything. Simple, easy, not a whole lot. I will be doing that through a standard hand can. We'll be doing our measurements on this, and we're only going to be doing, I'm actually going to go ahead and do this 1.5 ounce per 1,000 rate. So I'm only going to need 4 ounces to do this whole place. It's really not going to be very much. And 3.75, right? So 2,500 square feet. So I want to get that in there. You know, we've got this handy little, our little squeeze tube, so we can do 1, 2, 3 and change. It's not going to be too hard to get that measured off. And standard hand can is going to do this. Now I know that typically you see me walking around doing bare feet and you know, flip-flops and things like that. That won't be happening today. I am in long pants. I do have shoes to cover myself up, and I will always be wearing gloves to do this. So we're going to go ahead and mix up the pump sprayer, and let's knock this stuff out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start out here in the backyard, and we're going to walk through this, and you can look behind me and see what I'm going to be dealing with. My goal is to take this in from 0 to hero in a short time, and really we've got a short time to do it. So temperatures are very agreeable to start seeding, but let's first talk about the condition of this place. So here's what we've got. This lawn was original. You can tell from what's in here, it was mostly tall fescue. There's some flecks of fine fescue. No bluegrass to speak of. You can look here and see we're mainly dealing with tall fescue through here. Kind of a hodgepodge. Now, let's talk about weeds for a second. So far, here's what I've identified in Weedzilla. Weedzilla has dandelion, wild violet, oxalis, 2 different types of spurge, morning glory. It's got little runners from ash trees and things like that. And that's just to name a few. I think I'm going to find, chickweed. There's some chickweed down there. It's got a little bit of everything. Okay, so we've got stuff to deal with here. Now, most of this is just going to be covered off with broadleaf, just no big deal. I'm actually not going to kill any of this grass. And some of you are going to think, well, why don't you just round up the whole thing and do it? Well, the homeowner here actually doesn't mind the this turf type tall fescue that's back here. It's just clumped because of what has happened with drought and lack of watering and things like that. So here's what I say. I'm going to have to level this, and you're not going to be able to really maybe tell from here, but there's a low spot where nothing really seems to grow, and the ground is super compacted. So this is going to have me come through and fill a lot of area back here, because I can tell at some point somebody tried to just put in some sod across here at some time in the past, and there's a different in level right across here. So we're going to want to bring this thing up. So I'm probably going to be bringing in about 10 yards of topsoil to do this, and I'm going to get this all leveled out, move it around. But as far as the existing grass, this is my opinion, and you can like it or not. I don't really care. This tall fescue that's back here has been staying alive, strong. It's holding on. It's gone through not getting watered. It's gone through extreme temperatures. It's hanging in there. Maybe I don't really want to get rid of that. I can use that. I can thread through it, and I can make it work. So when I come in here and I level this with topsoil, there's going to be grass still on here, but I first need to kill all these weeds because I don't want them to come up. So I'm going to need to have a little bit of like a few days space in between that. So today's Thursday. I won't be doing soil or anything on this until next Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to give it about 5 days before I come in here and cover it up so it's had a chance to really start to break down and die. And then it'll just wither away. The soil is not going to slow down its decay. So that's what we have going on back here. We should probably go talk about the front yard. So I wanted to show you all of this. Kind of a mess. Now, while I was spraying it, the one thing that I was looking at that I thought was really fascinating, and you know me, I can't seem to, look at something and just take it for a grain of salt, I guess. So right where I'm standing here, I'm partially under the shade of this tree, and in the summertime here, it gets really hot in the valley, and so the sun comes up over here, and it comes straight up overhead, and then it sets kind of right over that tree. So really in the heat of the day, the sun is kind of in here. Well, it would end up going behind that tree. I'm gonna take a step back and show you this. If you could see this outline right there, see that? That is still some fine blade fescue that has managed to stay alive, if it's a loose term there, only because of the shade of that tree and the coolness that it's providing. That's it. That's the only thing. It's not getting any different water. It's not getting anything else. It's just keeping the ground cooler here. So when we get all this done and get the sprinkler system revived and everything else, I'm going to want to check and see where the stations line up here, because we can use this for our advantage in the summertime next year. So if there's a zone that's kind of running separately, how they're set up, I don't know yet because it hasn't been on. We'll check and see if we can spare water from that area and bring it out here into more of these sun-baked areas and give it a little more. It may not be the case, probably an older system, it's an older home, but that is something to pay attention to. If you've got zones and things at your house where you've got more shade, more protection, dial those areas back. There's no reason to water them as much, and you can spare and save that water to put onto your other harder hit areas, so keep that in mind. So that's really all that's going to happen here today. So I'm going to wait about 5 days, and it's, like I said, it's going to start to get hot. It was a great time of day to do this. We got it done before noon, so it's going to keep heating up throughout the day. It's going to get up into the upper 80s, like I said, moving through the weekend and into next week. And so these are really going to get a good chance to cook. There's not any rain in the forecast or anything else. So then we'll visit it Tuesday. Probably on Monday, I'm going to have this whole thing just scalped down as low as a mower will go, and anything that's in here is going to get taken out. That will give it enough time for everything to kind of translocate and start killing the roots, so I'm not really worried about that. So we'll check and see, make sure that we've got enough kill. Then we're going to come in here and level. We're going to seed, just standard. I'm doing all of this stuff with very basic material. I mean, we're talking about maybe like $50 in gear is what it's going to take to do all this. Nothing fancy. And if you can tell me the difference between the way this is going to turn out when it's done and tens of thousands of dollars in equipment, in aerators and slice seeders and all of that other stuff, please feel free to do that. I'd be more than happy to listen to you, and then we'll have a nice discussion about it. So we're dropping our first lawn bomb here today. And so we'll just kind of keep this thing going and then get started on the next project that's up a little higher in the mountains coming up here as well. So that's all I got for now. I'll talk to you guys real soon.